Welcome back to the Lakers Fast Break. My name is Jamie Sweet. I'm here with LakerTom. I'm going to get rid of my zombie glasses here so that I don't look like a weirdo any more than I normally do, what with my robot and all the jazz going on in the back. We're here to talk the NBA draft. Gerald had a great episode last night with Stone Hansen, which you should all listen to if you're interested in Stone's thoughts, which are really well researched. I have to say right off the bat, I don't watch any non-Laker basketball, college, EuroLeague, pickup games on YouTube, you name it. I don't participate. So my opinion is pretty informed by what I read out there by other people. I think LakerTom's is pretty much the same. He probably does a little bit more reading than I do. But I don't research these guys. I don't go watch, full clips of their games. Sometimes I'll watch a highlight reel at best, but that's not a good
none of them. And I did not really have any of them on my big board or anywhere close to my big board.
I didn't even have a big board.
And in fact, two of them, the two undrafted guys, I didn't really even have on my radar. I didn't even know their names before they were
announced. Exactly. So we're going to talk. We're just going to have a quick discussion here about how we feel about these draft picks, whether we think we could have done better. To be honest, once you pick outside the top 10, it's a project no matter what, right. In my opinion. Very few outside the top 10 show up ready to play in the NBA day one. Not that they won't get minutes. That's not the point. The point is this a guy you're going to put into a clutch situation in the playoffs? None of these guys are going to be in clutch situations in the playoffs. So they might help us win a game, or two, hopefully, next season. Most likely they're going to spend a lot of time in the G League. So maybe not Jalen. I haven't mastered his name yet.
Hood Schifino.
Jalen Hood Schifino. The Hood throws me off because I think it reminds me of the fish song. Harry Hood. But anyhow, I actually watched up until 27th in the draft, which is rare. I missed the first 7 because I kind of didn't care. I was like, it's going to be one beyond. Right. It'll either be Miller or Scoot 2, and then it'll either be Miller or Scoot 3. And then I just didn't get it turned on in time to see what happened 4, 5, and 6. So I came in around 7. And it was, and this is according to ESPN as well, like it was like kind of one of the least surprising drafts in history, right. Kind of where everybody had everybody. It was kind of boring. Yeah, there weren't even that many trades. There was, right. And the trades were really just for different picks in the same or drafts in the future. So nothing like Kyrie to nothing like that. Nothing
the three team Kyrie and
no, nothing like that. And so I don't know that free agency will be all that much different. I kind of think a lot of teams are just sort of curious and feeling out this half measure of the new CBA, which still hasn't fully been released. As we've talked about, not all of the provisions come into play this season. Just some of the provisions come into play this season. Some of the things that are going to be really tricky for us to talk about next year, like how all the new revenue streams are going to affect the cap. But for all intents and purposes, the 4 guys the Lakers picked up yesterday, including 5 guys if you include the Exhibit 10 contract, right. We offered to Alex Fudge, I believe his name was, or Aaron Fudge, something Fudge. All of these guys, and you had an interesting point on my post. I'll share my post here that I thought was apropos. That the guys we drafted with our picks probably aren't going to have much to do. But if we
they're 20-year-olds, they're
20-year-olds, right? Problem, they're like, So Tom's. Where's your comment? Here it is. What's really out there, or what's really odd, is the 2 picks went to 20-year-olds who aren't going to do anything to help out right now, but are both big and physical, which I agree. I think that they're both like, what can we do with these guys to like develop a jump shot, develop some defense?
Don't give him any guys under 6'5", man. That's the answer.
I agree. The NBA is trending away from little guards. I mean, if you're like, a knockdown shooter or like, nobody can stop you getting to the rim because of your handle, that's one thing.
Right.
But the Mac McClungs of the world are going to have a problem finding a consistent role because they're just too little.
Yeah.
They're just too little. It's not, you're going to get burned on defense over and over and over again. And not only that, it will be predictable. And so coaches hate predictable problems. And so little guys are going to have a problem. And so I thought this was a really intelligent comment that you put up here, because I agree. They are really like, this is like, can these guys maybe work after even we trade AD, right? Like 2-3 years down the line.
Those two guys that we got, actually, when you think about it, what we did was we made sure we got guys who basically everybody thought would go sooner, because they're still trading chips.
Sure. Yeah, they could be.
Because, listen, we wanted to trade that pick for win-now players. Yeah. And it didn't happen because everybody's a little freaked out about the new CBA. And so I think what they did is they said, okay, fine, then they're not going to be draft picks we're going to do, but we're going to have good, young, talented players. Let's make sure to hit an A or a B on each of these picks, and we'll be in good shape as we move into the next section. And then, then they turn around, which is the second half of my comment, which is they turn around and draft 2 5-year college players.
Yeah.
Who are both ready to play right now and both play critical positions that we need defensively, which is interesting. One of them is a volume 3-point shooter who's a dog on defense.
Yeah.
And the other guy is a center who blocks 3 shots a game and dishes out 2.7 assists.
That's the guy.
I watch him. I've been watching video of him. There's a terrific video of him leading the fast break as a center. This is a skinny white center going down the middle of the floor, dribbling the ball like it's amazing. I really like the kid. And he's a guy that also followed, he's his same agent as Austin Reeves, and he followed the Austin Reeves game plan. No, we don't want to even talk to teams looking to draft us in the second round. We just want to be undrafted. And the Lakers
we want to go to the Lakers.
Just like Austin. That's what his agent sold him, and he delivered. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And
and listen, the 20-year-olds ain't gonna see any playing time. I don't care how good they are. They're 20 years old, man. These other guys are 23 and 24 with 5 years of college basketball. Yep. They can they may not step in because we still want to trade to fill those holes. And I think we'll try to do that. But if we don't, these are the insurance that says, hey, can we just bring everybody back and we'll wait till the deadline like Jamie always wants to do and pull off the trade then.
I often don't think we're even going to make moves at the deadline.
Yeah, I know. But it's funny. There's a disappointment because we weren't able to pull off a trade to upgrade the starting lineup. We couldn't pull up that center or the big wing that we needed so that we really have a better starting lineup. But we still did a good job of positioning ourselves with trading chips and getting a couple of ready-to-go guys, who are Castleton I'm just really so impressed with him.
Me too.
And the other guy's he's shot 40% on 7 threes a game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, college threes, but
but that's still to take 7 of the game. You don't take that many shots unless your coach really says it's okay, because otherwise you'd be on the bench real fast.
Well, that's one of the things about the college game, right? Is that sometimes a player has to subjugate their talent a little bit.
Almost all the time, unless
there's a better guy who is, they're trying to make sure he gets his draft stock up. They're they're trying to help him out. The team is not just the coach and not just the player. The team is aware, like, hey, if Joe has a great season, Joe could go in the lottery. Let's help Joe have a great season, and that's what a good team should do and does. So, I'm curious to see if some of these guys,
all of the guys how Joe went in the lottery, and
right. Now, I mean, there were some surprises. I was a little surprised. The dude from was it Villanova? No, it was Kentucky. Fell down to
Oh
like
yeah,
20, 25, something like that. I was kind of surprised we didn't pick up Jaime
I mean
Jaquez
Jaquez.
Jr. Jaquez.
Yeah,
I,
I really
I'm,
like Jaquez Jr.
I'm,
And
I do
obviously
too.
I'm biased toward UCLA players, but
He's like the one guy I'd seen any amount of game on. I was like, oh, I'll watch a little bit of UCLA. Oh, this guy really gets up.
he's a savvy player, man.
I know. He's kind of like, he reminds me of the undrafted player on New Orleans, that little guard. I always forget his name. He's
Alvarez.
Alvarez. Thank you. Yeah, Alvarez. He's like gritty like Alvarez.
Pretty
Like,
amazing that I can pull a name out to save you.
me and names are never any good. Ever. But
Well, just I'll tell you, looking forward, it's going to get worse.
oh, I have no doubt. And I don't do myself any favors with my life habits. So,
But it was disappointing that we didn't get the big trade. But when I looked, the thing that we've done well consistently has been get the right players get players that have good upside. Now, it was interesting that they pointed to Hood Schifino as being in the Austin Reeves mold. And in a lot of ways, he is very much a clone of Austin Reeves. When you watch him watching him play, he's like a little more physical and stronger version of Austin Reeves with a better handle
and better passing, but less of a shooter.
And not as quick, but that better handle really helps because he keeps control of that ball in heavy traffic and watching him play.
I feel like we definitely got
and he definitely is a
playmakers.
deadly mid-range shooter. He looks very crisp polished.
Yeah, but he can't do it really well off the dribble. Those are the things that like. So that's right. So this is what we're going to see these guys work.
But he's got enough height. He's got enough height that he can just jump.
But he's not very athletic. He's not very athletic. That's the other. That's why I kind of had a D'Lo comparison to him a little bit, where it's like, yeah, he's big.
Well, but aside from the lefty righty stuff, D'Lo and Reeves' games are fairly similar.
They're both combo guards.
They're both combo guards who can play off of the ball because they can shoot and
or on it, on the ball,
and are great putting their guy in jail and getting inside and weaving around.
Yeah.
See old Steve Nash just keep going everywhere until finally something opens up.
D'Lo tries to avoid contact more than Reeves does. Reeves searches out contact.
Reeves looks
for contact, and that's the smarter play in the modern NBA. So,
yep.
I don't know that JHS is a worse first round pick than Lonzo. I thought Lonzo Ball was not done any favors by the Laker organization, starting with his introductory news conference. And for every step,
Lonzo's been
along the way. And then he's also got bad knees. I mean, he had bad knees in college. He's got bad knees now. Bad knees tend not to go away, and that's not his fault.
I heard. What is? I saw a rumor that there was a trade being discussed where Lonzo was going to be included in the trade. Somebody was going to gamble on him for a year down the road that maybe he could come back. But here's the interesting thing: I saw a comp for DHS's defense to be very Lonzo Ballish, and that really is the type. That's one of the things that's always appealed to me about Lonzo is that
he is a good defender.
3 and D, he really does both of those things. He may not do any of the things in between those things.
No,
but for the 3 and D, if you want a prototype player, man.
It took him getting off the Lakers to get that 3 down, though. So he never could hit that shot as a Laker. And that's what I mean. I think they just put too much pressure on the kid.
He had the blessing and the curse of being the son of
and of Magic saying like, your jersey's going up there next to mine. It's like, Magic, stop with the hyperbole, please. You're killing the kid. You're killing the kid. I
think should have taken Tatum.
He still would have been traded in for AD. It wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Everybody but Kuzma would have gone. Now we could argue that we should have kept Kuzma, but that's a whole other. Right. It's all water under the bridge at this point. I heard that about Cam Zangerstein. That's the reason he fell so far. I wonder how. I mean, if it's as bad as like Brandon Roy's degenerative knees, or is it something that's like manageable, like how Sam Bowie and Bill Walton's degenerative knees were. So it's either, are you Greg Oden and you can't stay on the court, or are Brandon Roy, you can't ever get the knee right. And now it would seem Lonzo Ball. And that's a problem. If you're coming out of college with a question mark that big already, you've got a whole big other hill.
It ain't going to get easier.
It's exactly
not going to get easier. You get more physical and more trying.
Right. That you're playing twice the number of games closer together with, more flying. None of those do people with preconditioned injuries any favors. So that's one of my big concerns about LeBron. I would almost tell LeBron, like, you're just going to play at home. You're not going on any more road trips. You stay home. Don't fly. Don't just get treatment on road trips.
Have you ever had a major injury? I've torn my Achilles playing basketball twice. My left.
No, nothing like that. The worst I ever had is I broke my wrist skateboarding, but I was like 13 and I bounced right back.
Well, here's the funny thing about it is that even though mine were 10 years apart, and they both happened playing with the same group of guys, and I still was fearful of getting injured again. I knew immediately what happened.
Right.
The first time I thought somebody kicked me in the back of the leg.
Right.
The second time I said, "Oh," I knew.
Same one both times, or both of them different?
Left and right.
So both got a chance to go.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's well, at least you're even.
Yeah, as the doc told me, says, because back then they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything like they do now. Back then, you just put it in a cast, and that was it. That was it, man. Rehab, man, rehab.
Yep.
And don't worry, you won't be able to tear it again because you won't be able to jump like you used to be able to off that leg.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was
thanks for your expertise. Anyway, Tom and I think, are pretty much in agreement today, which is that the moons and stars must be in alignment. We both are of the opinion that the 20-year-olds we spent actual draft picks on probably won't see much floor time, and I won't be surprised.
It may get traded very easily.
May get traded. I
listen. The other team says, "Hey, I want 3 picks," and we say, "Okay, here's 1 pick, and we're going to give you 2 guys that were equivalent to it." We might have to give them Christie. It just depends what we're getting back. If it's Miles Turner, I'll give them the kitchen sink. If it's Bogdanovich, one of the Bogs, I don't know. I don't know how much I'd give for that. It just depends.
I don't know about the kitchen sink for Miles Turner, but I would do a reasonable trade for Miles Turner.
Well, we need size. We need size and shooting, and the minute you say that, you have to go back and look at the Miles Turner Buddy Hield combination.
Yeah, I would just do Miles. I don't think we need Buddy. I would just as soon keep Malik on the cheaper deal.
I would be willing to try that too.
I would rather package Bamba, Mo Bamba, and
the problem is that we have all of these options, but people don't realize that most of the options eliminate other options. If you take this option.
No, once you do the Bamba trade,
we can't bring back D'Lo for $20 million and trade Beasley and Bamba for a $20 million player.
No,
we can't. We can do one or the other.
Yeah,
and we could do one or the other and sign a $12 million guy with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. But you can't combine those two things where you get 2 $20 million players, or we're in trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the problem that we're going to see here is that, well, 2. 1, Laker ownership's proclivity to not go high. They're not going to go past the second apron. It's just not.
No, it's already being called pseudo hard cap. That's the new term that's being coined for it. The Warriors is a pseudo hard cap in the sense that it's owners to go over it and nobody's going to go over it.
No, that's not true. I think that there will be,
except maybe the Warriors.
The Warriors will go over it. We'll see Brooklyn go over it at some point. I won't even be surprised if for like a season or 2. I think that's what it'll come down to. It'll come down to it's an ownership gambling on, is this our year? Because you can handle that.
Well, gambling on, are these the right 15 guys? Because you wouldn't be able to change those 15 guys. That's the problem.
You can next summer though. You can work out. You could send out draft.
You got one last chance.
But that's what I'm saying is that like you could say for a year or two, this is our team. We're rolling with this team. We're not going to make big improvements. We're going to do little tweaks. All the only little tweaks that we can do. We're not going to worry about the draft.
Pay our $150 to $200 million in taxes.
Pay our 150 exactly. Pay our 150, 200, maybe 250 in taxes, and we don't care about the draft pick because we're not going to play the draft pick anyway, right? Like
we're playing the market value of the franchise.
There will be teams that make that calculation and roll with it. I'm telling you. And so I think it'll be different.
They designed this CBA to prevent that, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm a little more optimistic than you are, Jamie, that it'll actually work. I think it actually will. I know the Warriors have come out and said it won't, but the next day they traded Poole. You know, it's a lot of money they just got off of.
Phoenix might go over. I don't know if they'll go over this year. I think that's why they got rid of Chris Paul. They don't want to go over that much. It's an interesting thought, though, Kim. Could happen. I'd like to welcome Ox 1947, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
AKA Sin Blades. Can I call you Joey Sin? Is that a bad nickname, Joe? Let me know in the chat. Say yes, say yay or nay, and whatever. Let's see. Clippers, Gold State, all there now. Yeah, but they're gonna see that there are limitations. I'm not saying there aren't limitations. What I'm saying is that they're livable limitations. That they are. If you.
Well, that's the adjective I don't agree with.
All right.
They're livable.
Joey Sin it is. Thank you, Ox. Thank you, Joe. I like Joey Sin. I think I can just see some teams willing to bet on a core. That's all I'm saying is that if you assemble a great, like Milwaukee, even I could see Milwaukee being like, if everybody's healthy? That's the question though. If everybody stays healthy, and that's a hard question for any team.
I think they're going to lose Brook Lopez, man.
I think they're going to lose Brook and Chris. Nobody's going to pay. I was surprised Middleton opted out of his $40 million.
Yeah, he has got somebody's agreed to give him some money.
I just feel like that's it. He might. I mean, the only thing he's got to be looking at is like, okay, I'll drop down to 30, and it'll be like 30
more years
for 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the older you get, the more you're looking at the total of contract value rather than what you're getting per year.
Right, I agree. So
you made X amount of money, and if you can add Y to that, let's do it.
Yeah, but I just it does
turn down 40 for 3 years at 30. You know, that's
I agree,
a $2 million profit.
I agree. Joey Sin does sound cool, especially if you say it wearing like dark glasses. Hey, I'm Joey Sin. Boo ba ba zang. Anyway, I won't be surprised if our two-way contracts are guaranteed, much like Austin Reeves was by the end of summer league. That if
they have a good summer league,
guaranteed.
If Gerald wasn't so cheap and would offer us hotel rooms and room and board over for the next couple of weekends in July, we could all get together and have a great session live.
Wow. I love how you put it right on Gerald. I guess he lives there.
Well, yeah, it does.
Why can't we just move into his little?
Well, he probably, you know how these Las Vegas guys are. He's probably got connections at all the casinos. He can probably get us comped. He can probably get us comped at 2 or 3 places. You know how all these Vegas guys are. Yeah, of course, I mean, well, you look at Gerald. You don't. We don't want to talk about his nickname, but we'll leave that for another session.
Wow. Okay. We're throwing Gerald under the bus. He's not even here to defend.
No, we never throw Gerald under the bus. Gerald is the maestro of this whole thing.
He's the podfather, as Sean likes to say.
Podfather for sure.
I think there is a deal if
and where else would the podfather be than Las Vegas?
Vegas, right? Exactly. Well, maybe Chicago on the south side.
Yep. But seriously, no, I actually have been thinking about going up there for one of the weekends.
I once had the pleasure of catching a Laker Vegas game prior to going to see Fish for 3 nights in a row at the same arena that they played the preseason game. It was the last year that the Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom. I'm sorry, it was the first year that it was the year we beat Orlando for the NBA title, and you could tell, even in that summer league game, that starting 5 plus Lamar, that core of 6 was pissed and focused, because I had never seen the Lakers dominate summer league like they did in that game. Like that starting 6 was like even everybody. It was just like the defense was there, everything was there for summer league. It was like Kobe said, like, if anybody slips, I'm going to come to your house and murder you. And so nobody slipped. Everybody's like, okay.
Did you live in Long Beach, right?
Los Angeles now, yeah.
Oh, okay. You used to live in Long Beach, I guess.
I did, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever go to the summer leagues in Long Beach?
Oh yeah, I lived
and grew up in those. I mean, it was well before your time.
It was amazing,
man. I used to spend every summer down there.
The last one they ever had was the Bynum one, when Bynum was picked, and he came in and dominated summer league. I was like, oh, we got like an interesting player here.
I know.
And then we kind of mishandled him at the pro level, but you know what? He ended up being, it worked out enough for him. Yeah. Unfortunately,
No, and listen, Andrew is one of those guys that he could have been one of the Gerald couldn't get cops if he was working as. Oh, Joe, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Well, I mean, a guy with a name like Joey Sin, she should probably have connections in Vegas too,
Yeah, that's only if you want to get married.
The roots are everywhere. I mean, there are a lot of them in Vegas, but they reach out to Temecula and all small towns of California,
Listen, Joey Sin only has connections to people who want to get buried in the desert under a fake lawn. That's where you're going to end up.
Then you don't have to water it, man.
I should say it's a synthetic lawn. Anyhow,
Trump ruined the word fake. You can't use it anymore. It's
No, so Kim Williams, this is exactly what I'm saying. That if you assemble a core and you're willing to pay, you don't care about your picks being frozen. You don't care about not having some of the spending tools, because you're rolling with this as is. You build it for a year or two, and then you take it back apart. And but that's on ownership if they want to pay, as Tom said, $150, $200 million tax. Well, a synthetic, fake, what's the difference? It's not. I understand.
They're actually growing meat in a vat now, chicken in a vat.
Well, and also
it's very expensive. They're selling it to gourmet restaurants. It's 3 times the regular cost of chicken.
Joey Sin, not mincing words on his fake grass. Okay, well, I only deal in real grass, man. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do we got to talk about? I got to get ready to go play a concert here, so I don't know that I have too much time. So real quick, not surprised. First off, want to thank as Gerald likes to say, the greatest Laker chat that's ever existed on the planet. Things of that nature. And I agree. It is a fantastic chat. So thanks everyone for participating. I think I did this stream right. Let's see. But it isn't if they're already on the team before you go up, Zanger. So if you assemble the team and then you're over the cap and everybody's under contract, you're done, because you can sign your own players. So like if you draft, let's say we want to do this in 5 years with the guys we've drafted. If they're on your team, they're already there, you can extend your guys over the cap. And that's, I guess, what I'm saying is if you're trying to do it like Denver could keep most of their team together if they wanted and go and blow past the apron. They could keep Bruce Brown. They could keep Michael Porter Jr. when his
They just have to make sure that they want to stay there. That's the issue.
They have to, right. And, well, that's the other thing. If the player
they can hold them for 7 years, pretty much. You can hold them for 7 years now. You can give them a 3-year contract and then give them a 4-year extension.
Right, exactly.
And when that rookie extension expires,
they're gone.
Most of them you better have a reason for them to stay.
Right.
Besides money. because there'll be other people, if they're any good, offering him at least close to. You can offer one more year and I think 7% raise instead of 5% raise.
Oh man, I liked my Gerald impersonation. Bruce Brown is most likely gone. I agree. I'm not saying that he's going to stay or not going to stay. I'm just saying that if Denver ownership was willing to pony up the cash, they could keep this team together as is above the second apron, and it would limit their moves.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any desire or ability of their owner to do what the Clippers and the Warriors have done.
No, I think the Clippers will just deconstruct their team a little bit. I don't think
the Clippers have already pretty much signaled that they're not going to give maximum raises and long-term contracts to those two superstars.
Why would you?
They're going to have to understand they're going to have to take some sort of short-term deal, or they're going to just go another direction.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. Yeah, they can only offer Bruce Brown, but that's the problem, right? I see what you mean there, Zanger, in that there are mechanisms in place to kind of prevent it. But again, ownership and players could come to agreements. Keep it under your hat. Whatever, I just won't be surprised.
How do you think San Antonio got the number 1 draft pick?
I don't know. They just lucked into it.
Oh yeah, right. Sure. You believe that? You are,
It's just the way the balls bounce, Tom.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. Again. Boop, 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 boop. And a third time. Boop, 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 boop.
Well, seen it twice. It could happen a third time.
You know what? This must be gospel. Anyway, so I won't be too surprised if some team or another blows past that second apron and lives there for a consistent amount of time.
I will be. I think it's going to be a pseudo hard cap.
Yeah, it is a pseudo hard cap because not this season, but after next season.
Yeah, after next season.
That's when the triple tax comes into play. The frozen draft picks, the more heinous draconian punishments come into play. But again, it's not a true hard cap. They can choose not to. So I'm gonna say that for as many times.
We'll call it a pseudo hard cap. I like that.
Sure, that's fine. Bruce will get at least the MLE somewhere. I agree. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he's on my big 4 for the non-taxpayer MLE.
Well, then who would you pick, Rui or Bruce?
Oh no, you still can get Rui. That's not a problem.
Well, you can't do Rui, Austin, and Bruce.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
No, I've run the numbers. You can.
Then you're saying
you can bring both of those guys. You can bring both of those guys back and sign. You can bring both of those guys back plus Lonnie and sign somebody for the non-taxpayer MLE full amount, $12.4 million.
So then you're saying, okay. So then the question is Bruce or D'Lo,
right? Well, yeah, D'Lo's always a separate question. D'Lo, you can do D'Lo, or if you can still do D'Lo, $20 million. You have to hold these things to line. For example, you can't give Rui more than 15. You can't give D'Lo more than 20. But if you do that, you can then still bring in somebody for the non-taxpayer MLE. You won't be able to bring somebody in for the BAE. You won't. There's just not enough money. You run out of it then. But you can get that non-taxpayer MLE and either a big trade using Beasley and Bamba or re-signing D'Lo. One or the other.
All right.
Take it.
All right. I would probably do a big trade with Balbo and Beasley if I could, but in reality,
ideally, do a big trade and then use the non-taxpayer MLE and get a point guard. Or I think we should get a center. But I like Naz Reid. I still think he's gettable.
I think he's going to be too small. I think he's going to be too small in the playoffs. I don't, and I think
if he were our only center, yes, but he has excellent. He does a great job with steals and blocks, and he's 264 pounds. He's hard to move. He's got a low center of gravity.
Yeah, but I feel like if you have Hachimura, that's the same. You're doubling up on the same guy. Hachimura is like an inch shorter and like 5 pounds lighter, but a better shooter, a better playmaker, better at everything else, basically. That's how. That's my
but Rui
personal
can't really. He's not as physical in the paint as Nas is, or as athletic as Nas is. Nas has more of a motor. Rui's making great progress, and had he played in the regular season as well as he played in the playoffs, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's still penciled in as a starter.
But his role changed in the play. His role changed in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And also his role changed after we got Vando. Vando took his starting spot because Vando's motor and ability to influence
then his offense basically eventually put Vando to the bench.
Only because of matchups.
Right. Well,
he played in the first 2 rounds. He played in the first 2 rounds. We put him on anybody who we wanted to stop. It wasn't until Denver where there were multiple playmakers and multiple shooters at every position that strategy became.
Well, again, I think we have to be careful not to overreact on what was really a lot closer series than it ended up being, and
no, I don't think you should.
While it showed things that we certainly need to improve upon, those are areas that we were aware of, and you just the players that we got to fill those 2 needs, Beasley basically and Bamba, because of injuries or performance, just didn't fill those needs, and that's But the idea was good. The strategy was sound, and you're not going to hit all 6 or 7 players that you make a move on.
No.
And just like you said, there's strong arguments in both Beasley and Bamba's cases to hang on to him at least through the trade deadline.
Which is what I think will happen. That's what I think will happen. I think that a lot of teams are going to be looking at camp.
Think of the power you're going to have if you got cap space to skin a contract at the trade deadline.
Well, that's going to be San Antonio, and that's going to be OKC, and that might even be Orlando, depending on who they bring back. So those 3 teams
got all those big deep rosters with all those young players and those.
There will be, and that's going to be everybody's like, oh, the spenders.
There's going to cost you some of your draft capital right there.
No, but that's going to be that's the other strategy, right? You can be a team that keeps a $20 million chunk of cap space open every year and say, I'll take some draft picks. I'll take an overpriced.
Well, except you have a unique situation heading into next year where this trade deadline and next summer.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every year. If you were the Spurs operated.
Well, now we're in a transition year because the owners' penalties start next summer.
But even when the penalties come into play, if you're the San Antonio Spurs functioned about $25 million under the cap all season.
There's always been a market for dumping salaries.
So if you have a $20 to $25 million cap deficiency, you're under the cap by 20 to 25 mil. You can absorb a player back and send back just the TPE.
Right. No, well, not only that, if you don't spend that money, you're going to have to give it to your players anyway.
To be honest,
you got to hit the minimum salary. You got to hit the minimum salary, or else you got to distribute that money.
But that's not a penalty.
That's like what
That's not a penalty.
Yeah, it's like the Pacers giving that big raise to Miles Turner. They would have had to spread it among 6 or 7 players, but why not give it to Miles? Make him even happier, and he'll sign a lower amount for the extension going forward.
Also, something that works with trades on down the line. Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's going to be interesting to see how people build teams going on, and I'd be curious to see if the TPE counts dollar for dollar against the salary cap, or if they maybe say like it's a 2-for-1, so that you can help reduce salary with a TPE. Because right now it's a 1-for-1. If you get a TPE, it still counts for your cap, just like a wave player's deal does, just like a retired player does.
Hopefully it's funny. There's like no public knowledge of there is no document that's out there that people can look at this point in time, but the experts now have a copy of that document, and they're pretty much released most of the really significant things that are included in the CBA, because they're obviously there may be things in there that we still don't know about that, could affect certain situations.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta get going. I gotta play a gig.
Okay.
For Gerald Glassford, I'm Jamie Sweet. This is LakerTom and I. Come join us on Lakerholics.com. We've been talking draft.
And next week we'll talk about the big trade.
We'll talk. No, we won't. I mean, we'll talk about the imaginary big trade. Nobody will get traded until July, anyhow. Tom, now we are in the we're in the Romulan neutral zone.
We could trade for lots of guys tomorrow.
Oh God! All right.
I mean, they're under contract.
I can't with this. I can't. It's every day. Every day there's a trade that can happen.
That's true. It's true.
I'm trading everybody right now. Anyway, for Gerald Glassford, I'm Jamie Sweet, right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Oh, no, for real. Anyway, thanks everybody in the chat. We'll be here next week. I'm sure Gerald and company will have more shows. I can't stress it enough. Listen to Gerald's talk with Stone Hansen. I mean, he's not a big fan of the JHS pick, but I think he's a bigger fan of just about every other move we made. And he's very well informed insights. He's a smart guy who does his research. So check out that interview that Gerald had with Stone from last night. I've already listened to it once and kind of had it on background again because I just thought it was interesting to hear how he thought our number 17 pick isn't really a good fit for the team now, but I do think he could be a good fit for the team on down the line. Thanks, Angerstein, Johnny 2K. Of course, Joey Sin, Ox 1947, Kim, who was up popping off and popping on earlier. I forget your last name, Kim Williams. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Adios.